Iceberg. The theme for this year is Living Everyday Wonder. And each month we've been exploring different aspects of that. Emotions was last month, and this month we're focused on our bodies. The title of our talk today is Loving This Body, and it will be given by our wonderful guest speaker, Audra Nicole. And I'll tell you a little bit about her later. But first, let's start by kicking off our service. We're so glad that you joined us today. Sit back, relax as we play our video that starts things off. Please join us as we create our sacred space. We set our intentions of deepening into our awareness and practice of our 5 pillars of spiritual living by lighting this candle in our virtual world. Our first pillar is sacred study, represented by the divine quality of truth. We use this pillar to recognize the importance of an open mind and the power of our minds. The second pillar is affirmative prayer, represented by the divine quality power. This pillar honors the power of prayer in our daily lives. Our third pillar is meditation and the divine quality of peace. This pillar reminds us of the importance of meditation and the peace we feel when we quiet our minds. The fourth pillar is circulation and the divine quality of life. We know that the great law of circulation works in our lives. As we give, so shall we receive. And the fifth pillar is sacred service and the divine quality of love. This pillar affirms our call to be a service to our world as we see through the eyes of love. Let us close our eyes as we bless this sacred space and our time together. As we weave each of these pillars of spiritual living into our service today, may they deepen our own spiritual practices of study, prayer, meditation, circulation, and service, expanding our minds and our hearts to the 5 divine qualities of truth, power, peace, life, and love. We also bless everyone who made our service possible today and everyone in attendance. May the energy of love that is generated here bless everyone abundantly, and so it is. And so it is. Oh, once again, we are so glad that you joined us here today. And before I introduce our guest speaker, I want to remind you that if you have any celebrations or prayer requests, please post them at any time in the chat section so that we can include those later in our service when we do our community spiritual mind treatment, which is our form of affirmative prayer. Now, let me introduce you to Audra Nicole. If you haven't heard her speak before, you are in for such a treat. I love this. I'm going to read it right with how she describes herself. She is a phenomenally flawed human and an embodiment of the divine. I absolutely love that. She is a Californian who is currently residing in Oklahoma. She is a Center for Spiritual Living licensed spiritual practitioner, a spiritual teacher, a love and empowerment coach, and this is really big news, hot off the press. She is a ministerial student who has just completed her final class. Woo! That is such an amazing feeling. She has a few more things to do to make things official, but come March 6, 2023, she will be Reverend Nicole. She is also a member of the Next Gen Retreat leadership team for over 5 years. And like I said before, you are in for a treat if you've never heard her speak before. She is absolutely wonderful. So Audra Nicole is going to lead us through our meditation. We'll have some music, we'll have our message, we'll have some more music. So there's a preview of things to come. I now turn it over to Audra Nicole.
Thank you so much, Tamara. Good morning, CSL Leesburg. If you are all ready, go ahead and get extra comfortable where you are. We are going to go into our moment of a few moments of meditation together. Give yourself a moment to take a few extra breaths. Give yourself permission to breathe a little deeper. Allow yourself to take in more oxygen than you generally do. Take this moment to release even more than you regularly do. In this depth of breath, we reunite our awareness to the presence of our body, to the presence of our spirit in communion with this magnificent thing called our bodies. Taking a moment to feel whatever they feel, adjusting our bodies as we need to get even more comfortable. Noticing any pain, any tension, any aches, any tightness, just witnessing. Let's take a moment to consciously relax our eyes. To consciously relax our throats, necks, releasing the tension in our shoulders even more. Opening our chest and giving our hearts space to expand. Allowing our abdomens to fully relax. Fully relax. Giving every vertebrae permission to relax. Releasing any tension in our lower backs. Remembering to breathe deeper. Relaxing our hips, our glutes, our thighs. Loosening our knees, our calves, our ankles. Feeling the ground beneath our feet. In this place, in this relaxed body, feel all of it. Breathing it in, moving it, I'm releasing it, allowing it, listening to it. I invite you to ask your body in this moment, is there something you would love for me to know? I invite you to be open to hearing. Letting the sound resonate. Breathing in, breathing out. It is from this body, from this grounded, from this aware, from this relaxed place that I say yes to this day, yes to this morning, yes to this week, yes to this month, yes to this season, to this year, and to this life. I say yes. And so it is. When you're comfortable and when you're ready, allow yourself to come back, to open your eyes, to wiggle your toes, and to join us. Next up, we have some amazing music. So now that you're all settled in and relaxed, enjoy.
Good morning, CSL Leesburg. Leah here with a little song that I wrote, a little chant to help myself remember the relationship I want to be in with my body, the relationship I choose. So, as always, I welcome you to sing with me. I'm in love with my body, from my head down to my toes. I'm in love with my body, every stretch mark, every move. I'm in love with my body. I'm at home here in my skin, acknowledging the beauty on the outside and within. I'm in love with my body, from my feet up to my crown. I'm in love with my body, you won't catch me putting it down. I'm in love with my body, I am grateful, I am whole, because my body is ignited with the light shining from my soul. I'm in love with my body, from my head down to my toes. I'm in love with my body, every birthmark, every mole. I'm in love with my body, I'm at home here in my skin. I'm acknowledging the beauty on the outside and within. I'm in love with my body, from my feet up to my crown. I'm in love with my body, you won't catch me putting her down. I'm in love with my body, I am grateful, I am home, because my body is ignited from a light that shines in my soul.
Wow, what an amazing song. Oh man, you guys really know how to do it around here. And of course, Spirit is so good because that song, you know what that song was? It was perfectly setting us up. So, this morning's message, loving this body. You know, it's such a simple concept. You know, you should love your body. You know, we hear it all the time. But man, is it just me or is that really, really freaking hard sometimes? It feels really freaking hard sometimes. It feels really hard in this world that we live in. I am an American woman living in America, so my experience is American. And in this culture, it's all about the media and marketing and consumerism. It is bombarded into us all day long, everywhere we look, everywhere we go, from shows and movies, entertainment, to billboards and ads. Everywhere you look, this media, this culture is trying to convince you that you need this cream or this product or this pill or this or that, or you need this, you need that, you need this, you need that. That's all we hear all day long. Fix this, fix that. Oh my God. It's freaking exhausting. Imagine, just for a minute, I know it's really hard to imagine, but just pretend with me for just a moment that we lived somewhere without television, without movies, without billboards and magazine ads, without shopping malls. If we lived in a culture that wasn't telling us what was wrong with us all day long, think about the people in your life. Think about the people you spend the most amount of time with. Is there any part of you that's able to notice how much more it might be possible to see the perfection in them? If you weren't convinced that their hair was too big or too flat or too gray or too short or too long or too bald, if their hips weren't too big or their muscles weren't too small, then what? What would you see when you looked around at the people you loved if you didn't notice that their clothes were from last year? Or they were faded? Or they were too loose? Or they were too tight? What would you see? You'd see them. You'd see even more of them. You'd see even more of everything that you loved. Because when you looked at their arms, you wouldn't see if they were toned or defined or not. You'd see the place that held you. You'd see comfort. If someone's tummy wasn't flat enough, you wouldn't notice that that was a bad thing, because you would notice the softness when you hugged them, or when you put your head on their lap. I'm just pausing for a moment in that identity, in that presence. Now, if if we can imagine how much more of the greatness of the ones we loved we could see. What about us? If someone wasn't telling you that your hair was the wrong color, or your face had too many wrinkles, what is that crap? If you didn't see the things that they tell you to look for in the mirror that are wrong, if you weren't looking for all the things that they tell you are wrong, what could you see? Could you see the sparkle in your eye? The way that your beloveds do? Could you recognize the greatness of what you are? Is there a part of you that could see that, maybe God didn't make a mistake when it made elephants big? Maybe God didn't make a mistake when it made mosquitoes teeny tiny. Maybe God didn't make a mistake when he made your hair that color, when he gave you a butt or he didn't. Bodies that are small feel small and wish they were bigger. Bodies that are bigger feel big and wish they were smaller. But I don't know if you've met someone, but have you, I haven't met this person. I'd love to know if you've met this person that's like, I got it. It's me. This one, this body right here. It's the perfect one. It's the perfect size. Not too big, not too small. Yes, I won the body lottery. Yes. Do you know that person? I don't know that person. I've never met that person. Excuse my French. That's the point. There isn't one, and yet somehow they've convinced us that there is this imaginary body that we're all trying to get to. It's like the worst race ever with no finish line. Stop it. Just stop it. I'd like to take a moment to tell you a story about a woman that maybe you can relate to. I know I can relate to her. This is a story about a woman who had the idea to go on a retreat. I've been to retreats. I happen to used to lead the world's greatest retreat with my fellow colleagues. Imagine a woman who went to a healing retreat. She knew many of the people that would be there, and she felt safe. Now, this particular retreat was focused on awakening the sacred nature of our bodies. Ooh, that sounds delightful. I would like to go to this retreat. She decided to go to this particular retreat because she was having a very American experience. She was very uncomfortable in her body. She felt like it took up too much space. She felt like her body was too fat. She'd gone about her life feeling this way, so she developed this habit of trying to shrink. She played small in every way that she could, hoping that she could just take up a little less space. Despite this, she decided to be brave, and she went to the retreat. Now, one night at this retreat, in the evening workshop, they were all gathered in a circle, and the leader shared what was going to happen next. It was a dance party. except it was different. Everyone was going to stand in a circle, sit in a circle, and one by one, we're going to get up individually, all by ourselves, into the middle of the circle, and we are going to dance a whole song alone in the middle of the circle with everyone watching. I don't know about you, but that sounds terrifying. I'm thoroughly uninterested in that experience. She felt the same way. She did not know what to do. She sat there terrified, waiting for her turn, watching each person get up and do their dance. Maybe you can feel her terror. I know I can. She sat there terrified as the first few participants took their turn. One by one, they got up and they danced all alone for a whole song. She was so nervous. She didn't even know what everyone was doing. She was just so consumed with her head in her space. She didn't really know what was going on. She was just waiting in panic and terror for her turn. Her mind was racing with all of the things it tells her. All of the horrible things it tells her, all of the ways this is going to be awful. She waited. And when it was her turn, she didn't move right away. She stood quite paralyzed. When she got up and she went into the circle, she couldn't dance. She couldn't bring herself to move. She wrapped her arms around herself in hopes that she could make herself smaller. She stood there, wrapped, praying to be smaller for a whole song. She could tell how much bigger she was than everyone sitting on the floor. She was like a giant tower. Tears poured down her face. It was awful. But when the song was over, her fellow participants didn't say a single word. One by one, they stood up, and they walked to her, and they held her. They hugged her with all that they had. They let her take up all the space that she was in. They let her have that moment. And they loved her in it. And that was the moment. It changed for her. She said, the moment they all hugged me, I was so accepted without them trying to fix me or change me or make it okay. It opened my eyes to the idea that my body is okay, just the way it is, just the way it is. I'd like you to think for a moment of one of your favorite memories, like your favorite. Like when you just think about joy, this memory, this moment comes to mind. Maybe you were doing something active. Maybe it was your hobby. Maybe you were just watching a child. I don't know. Just find, if you can, just for a moment, just find a moment, a memory, something you actually, a place, a moment in time that you actually were. Just think of one. Does everybody have one? Okay. Now in that moment, I want you to dig deep. and see how many things you can credit your body for making that moment possible. Did your eyes see something? Did your ears hear something? Were your lungs breathing you that day? Was your heart beating in that moment? Were your feet working? Were your ankles working? Were your knees working? Were your hips working? Were you sharing a meal? Was your body receiving it? Were you feeling on your skin something amazing, like the warmth of the sun, the hug of your favorite person? We move about this world having this very physical experience on this thing called Earth, with these things called bodies. In our teaching, so often we say things like, you're a spiritual being with a human experience, or you're a spirit in a human body. And we say these things because we want to understand, we want to get through that we're not just these bodies, because it can feel so consuming to just think about the things that are physical, right? We want this teaching is about spiritual praxis. It's metaphysical. Meta means beyond. It is beyond what is physical. But sometimes in that good intention, in that great intention, really, we create an ounce of separation. We talk about the soul and the body like they're two different things. While they're not the same thing, they're not separate. I love one of my professors that I just finished a class with, Dr. DeQuincy. If anyone knows anything about our education program, you've heard that name. He's a lot, but one thing I will remember from that class, he was teaching us about separateness and how things are not the same thing, but they cannot be separated. And he gave us the example of water and wetness. And I will never forget that. Water and wetness. You can't take them apart. Our bodies and this life experience are things that cannot be separated. When we lose this body, we lose this experience. So I encourage us and I invite us to come into communion with our bodies, and not just our bodies, not just the wholeness, but the little parts. Because if I'm being honest, some days that media culture is louder than my spiritual practice. Some days it is hard to love all of my physical self. It is very hard some days, especially this time of year. But I say that to say, on those days when it is hard, when you just cannot do it, I invite you to try to love something small, to appreciate something small that's also big. I encourage you to move about your day this week, looking at shifting your awareness to all of the ways that your body is supporting you. Your body is made of so many cells. I could have looked it up. I didn't look it up. I apologize. I don't know the number of cells in our bodies, but I know it is a very, very, very big number with multiple commas. All of these cells in our bodies, their entire existence is for you to live as well as possible. These cells don't take a break. They don't get tired and call out sick. Well, okay, sometimes they do, but they come back and they don't stay gone long. But all the day long, they are doing that one thing that they are programmed to do so that you can live. So this week, as you move forward, if you're like me and you love your morning coffee, thank your hands for holding the cup. Thank your hands for feeling the warmth of the cup and for the comfort that brings you. Have you ever thought about thanking your taste buds? I mean, imagine if your taste buds were broken. I mean, some of us who went through some things these last few years, your taste buds got damaged. So imagine all of the things that you put in your mouth to sustain your life if it all just tasted like cardboard. Whoa, talk about that would suck. I mean, all of the things that we love to eat, all of the things, the smell of the cooking and the tasting and the salt and the sweet and the savory. Imagine if that was just poof, gone. That would suck. But have you thought about how grateful you are for your taste buds recently? I don't know about you, but after a pain or after a wellness challenge, like I have asthma sometimes, and during the fires in California, I was really struggling to breathe. Oxygen, it's important, let me tell you. When you're not receiving enough oxygen, you notice. And then all of a sudden, every breath feels deeper and richer, and it's more joyful because it's possible. So let's not wait to break a leg to appreciate when our legs are working every time they take us somewhere. Let's remember to thank our eyes for everything that we see, for everything that we hear, how much we go about our day. You know, if you're right-handed or you're left-handed and something happens to that, your dominant hand, oh my heavens, your whole world is upside down. You can't do anything right, regular. It's all wonky. Well, let's not wait until it doesn't work to remember how great it is that it works. I'd like to close us today's talk with one of my favorite poems about the body. The poem by Holly Holden. The poem's called "Today I Asked My Body What She Needed." Today I asked my body what she needed, which is a big deal considering my journey of not really asking that much. I thought maybe she'd need water, or protein, greens, yoga, supplements, exercise. As I stood in the shower, reflecting on her stretch marks, her roundedness, where I would like flatness, her softness, where I would like firmness. All those conditioned wishes that form a bundle of never quite rightness. Sitting there in the shower, in all of the not quite rightness, she whispered to me gently, and she said, "Could you just love me like this? Just like this?" Have you ever been in a relationship with your mother, with your father, with your child, with your spouse, with a colleague, with a coworker, with a boss? Have you ever thought, couldn't you just, I wish you would just love me just like I am? Not if I work harder or sleep less, make more money, or drop a size or 3, or not when I'm stronger, when I learn to be more patient. Not then. I don't want you to love me then. I don't want you to wait to love me till then. Could you just love me right now? So my charge for you this week and this life is to love all of you just like this. Wrinkles and gray hairs and soft places on your bodies, moles and birthmarks and stretch marks and marks and marks and marks and marks and marks. You know how all those marks got there? Life. They all came from life. They all came from living, which is the whole gosh darn point of it all. It's just to live. These bodies are not boats built to stay in the harbor. They are built to go, to see, to live, to love, to play. I remember I'd fall down when I was little and my dad would say, "Don't you scrape up my knees again." Listen here, mother effer, excuse me. These are my knees. And you know how I got these scrapes on these knees? Having a boatload of fun. And yes, I got the scars to prove it, but you know what I got the scars to do besides prove it? Remember. They remind me of things I might have forgotten. So whatever it is about your body that someone has convinced you is wrong. Now, sure, maybe it's wrong in the sense that there's something you should change to elevate your health, to elevate your wellness. However, in that journey, in that evolution, it's okay to love it still and through. So let's love these bodies, guys. If you're ready, it's time for a little more music. Here we go. Oh, I lost you. Just kidding. Hold, please.
Good morning, CSL Leesburg. Leah here with a little song that I wrote, a little chant to help myself remember the relationship I want to be in with my body, the relationship I choose. So, as always, I welcome you to sing with me. I'm in love with my body, from my head down to my toes. I'm in love with my
Just kidding. That is an amazing song, but this is what happened when Char puts an amateur in charge. Sorry, Char. Love you. Okay. How about another song, guys? I know it was a great song. I will like to hear that song again, but let's try another song.
This song is called Feel Like a Miracle.
All right, this one.
And you'll catch the pattern as I'm singing. If you'd like to sing that line with me when it comes, I think it feels good. When the blood is coursing through my veins, I feel like a miracle. When I breathe out and in again, I feel like a miracle. When the Spirit sends a sweet refrain, I feel like a miracle. 'Cause I can sing the song again and it feels like a miracle. I feel holy, I feel good. I feel like every spark of creation should feel this perfect truth of who I am. If you feel like a miracle, go on and show it then. If you feel like a miracle, go on and say amen. When the light is shining on my face, I feel like a miracle. Loving friends fill up a place, I feel like a miracle. With every gentle, warm embrace, I feel like a miracle. I know we never fell from grace, and I feel like a miracle. I feel holy, I feel good. I feel like every spark of creation is true. I feel this perfect truth of who I am. You feel like a miracle. Come on, show it then. You know you're a miracle. Come on, show it then. Brother sun is rising high, feels like a miracle. Sister moon reigns over the sky, it feels like a miracle. When any newborn baby cries, it feels like a miracle. One day I laid me down to die, I know my life was a miracle. 'Cause I feel holy, I feel good. I feel like every spark of creation should feel the perfect truth of who I am. You feel like a miracle. Don't wanna show it there. You say you never seen a miracle. Just look in the mirror there. Oh, you're waiting on a miracle. You say I am. That's just what I am.
And just in that energy, in that joy, and in that love of the miracle that we each are, that our bodies are, that this life is. Center down deep, 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 deep into that truth. Woo! I feel it in my bones. I got the shivers because I know that the body of the sun and the body of the moon and the body of this planet, they're all perfect. They have purpose. They are on time and in order. And as I know this of the massive macro that is bigger than I know this too at the tiniest micro level. For for every single cell in my body, for every atom in every cell, for every proton, neutron, electron, and all of the energy in between. I know the divine magnificence. I know that it is God's stuff, moving and playing and living. And I rejoice in this truth. I know for each one here with us today, for each member of the CSL Leesburg community, that it is God that is in all of their cells, all of our cells. It is God and only God that is breathing our breath and beating our hearts. I know perfect divine healing for Charlene's nephew, Kehudi. I know for anyone feeling any pain in their physical body or even in their emotional bodies. I know in this moment the truth of the divine. I know its resolution. I know the wholeness. I know the unaccidentalness of every birthmark, of every stretch mark, of every gray hair and every wrinkle. In this truth, I know for each one here, a beautiful Sunday, a beautiful week, and a beautiful life. As I know the power of the law, I know that as these words are spoken, it's already done. So I set these words free, and I rejoice in the truth of divine order. And so it is. I will hand it over to you, Tamara.
And so it is. Oh, thank you so much, Audrey Nicole and Leah. We are so blessed by your presence and by the words and the music that were shared today. Now it's the time to bless the donations that are shared with CSL Leesburg. We believe in the law of circulation, so we are a tithing community. The donations that are shared with our center bless everyone, those who give and those who receive. As you look at the screen, you can see it's so easy to find a way to give that works for you. Take a moment, look at that, make your plan, and no matter how you are giving, know that you are not just blessing CSL Leesburg, but you are blessing all the organizations that we support because they help with the vision that we have of making a world a better place for everyone, a world that works for everyone. So now, no matter how you're giving, just take that either physically or just in your imagination, hold it against your heart, and join me as we bless our gifts and our affirmation of oneness. The presence of spirit within me blesses everyone I meet, tends to heal everything I touch, brings gladness into the life of everyone I contact. Therefore, I am a blessing to myself, to humankind, and to the day in which I live. And so it is. All those cells in your body, just blessing you and blessing everyone that you meet. Now let's go to announcements. Boy, do we have some exciting news coming up. Lots of things going on at CSL Leesburg. So dream study. All right, Tuesday mornings, if you're able, join Charlene and her friends. They meet, they talk about their dreams, they interpret their dreams. And sometimes it's just really wonderful to get together and meet. And sometimes we don't quite understand our dreams. We say, what was that all about? But when you get together with Charlene and friends, they might be able to give you some insight and help you interpret your dreams. And it's always a wonderful healing day. It's always a wonderful session. On Wednesday nights, midweek, if you like what you heard here on Sunday morning, then join us midweek. In June, we are putting together our mission statement. We're taking another look at it and we're saying, okay, this worked before. What do we need to make it work now in this current world that we're living in? So this coming Wednesday, we're going to do part 2 of our vision and mission statement. If you weren't there for part 1, don't worry, we'll catch you up. So join us if you can. On the 22nd, we'll continue and we'll kind of finalize our mission statement. And then, oh my goodness, if you've missed this before with Kristen, please make sure that you join in. She will do healing with imagery on June 29th. And even our precious Layla said, hey, I might be in Germany. I might have to set my alarm clock, but I'm making sure that I'm there because the other sessions were just so powerful. So join us if you can midweek on Wednesdays at 7. And next, we have some new classes coming up. So here's something for you to consider and think about. We have spiritual principles and practices, and that's going to start on June 20th. So not this coming Monday, but the Monday after that. We're giving you time to sign up. It will be at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. The classes are 2 hours. It'll be live on Zoom. You can see the tuition information and you can see the little write-up. I'm just going to read that first paragraph. Living the best possible life takes practice. Discover proven practices that bring spiritual principles into action, allowing you to manifest a desired goal and intention. And we know this stuff works. If you're new to CSL or you want a refresher, you might want to think about taking this class with me. It will be wonderful, guaranteed. The other class that we have is going to be taught by our wonderful spiritual director, Charlene Banks, Revealing Wholeness. And this will be at 7 o'clock on Saturday, starting June 25th. It'll be at noon Eastern Standard Time, starting June 25th. It's 7 Saturdays, 2 hours each. It's on Zoom. There's your tuition information. And again, just a little teaser, Revealing Wholeness expands your current knowledge of science of mind principles and practices through studying the interrelationship between spirit, mind, and body. Holy cow, I told you, got lots of exciting stuff happening here at CSL. All right, my friends, that's it. It's time to kind of wrap things up. We thank you so much for joining us here today. If you're able, please stay. Something that we do at CSL Leesburg is we hang out after we sign off. Those who have to go with our blessing, but those who can stay and hang out, we do our little like at-home coffee talk, and we share the pearls from our service and from the music. What really resonated with your soul? What would you like to explore? What would you like to share? Audrey Nicole will really appreciate hearing what were the little nuggets from her talk today, her message that you really latched onto and you said, yes, this spoke to my spirit, this spoke to my soul. So stay if you can. If you can't, then we're going to send you off with our blessings as soon as we do our closing affirmation. And keeping in mind that our topic today was all about just loving this body. When you do this, I really want you to wrap your arms around you as you join me with our first statement. Here we go. Wrap your arms around. Just appreciate your body. Send love to each and every one of those little cells in your body that's doing its job without you even reminding it. And say, I am love. Just love that body. Now, all those wonderful cells that are in you, they're also in those loved ones around you and the other people on the screen. So point at somebody, maybe across the room or on screen, and just remind them, hey, you are love. And now, guys, just remember that it is all love. Love is love, and it is so powerful. Love moves mountains. We thank you so much for joining us. As I said, if you can stay, please stay. We'd love to hang out with you. If you have to go on with your day, then just know that we send you off with our love and with our blessings. Bye-bye.